while we're sitting here, and I guess we could talk about hardcore. How has my experience with hardcore been? A lot of people have been playing World of Warcraft Classic Hardcore. What is the deal with this game? Have I tried it, and how does it compare to regular World of Warcraft? Let's start with how it's different. In hardcore, it's a marathon of survival. So what makes it hardcore is that you only get one life. Any mistake that you could make results in your character's permanent death. This puts an emphasis on preparation, class, and area knowledge as you progress through the game to a maximum level of 60. In order to play the game, set up a battle.net account with Blizzard. Then you got to purchase World of Warcraft Classic, Wrath of the Lich King, or Cataclysm if that's the only one that you can get. And I can't remember what the price was. I think it was like $30. It might have been $60. Not 100% sure, but it'll be between that $30 and $60 for Classic WoW. And then you got to purchase a subscription. Now, I think if you buy the game, the first month subscription is free. Then after that, you're looking at 16 and change, depending on your tax, per month. And then in order to play hardcore from that point, after you set up your battle.net, buy Classic Wrath of the Lich King, then in the battle.net app, where you switch from game to game, you will need to select the hardcore servers. After all that, which it sounds like a lot, it really isn't a lot. It's like maybe on your first month, it's like 30 to $40, something like that. After that, then you can play the game. And so you can choose your faction, your race, your class, all that stuff. If you guys don't know too much about the details of the game, there are plenty of good guides and introductions to World of Warcraft out there. Just search on YouTube and there's plenty. What I liked is the difficulty, right? So understanding that any mistake I could make could cost me that character really puts you into focus mode on that game, and you are more attached to that character and more invested in leveling that character. So the stakes have really pushed my want to learn and understand the mechanics of the game better. Professions, I put more effort into professions, which I hadn't before, because now they're more important. They do more for you and your character in the game. They are more crucial. An example would be engineering. Being able to get dynamite, you can stun groups of enemy in an AoE, which is an area of effect attack, and that'll allow you to escape, as an example, right? Or it'll allow you to maybe slow down their attacks, so you're able to do the damage necessary to survive an encounter with multiple enemies, right? Other thing, equipment, right? So you have to pay more attention to your equipment. Now, if it's your first time playing, you're not going to know where all the good stuff is. And you're going to be low on cash. And so buying the good stuff is going to be trickier. So you're going to put a little bit more effort generally into finding ways to make gold, or take that added risk of doing dungeons and higher level quests in order to get that good gear, so it'll help you survive exploring the world of Azeroth. And also class abilities. The added want to survive puts more focus on understanding your talent trees and your abilities, how to properly use your rotations and things like that. And I've been getting better. I have definitely been getting better. I am still not all that great, but I think now, from what I've learned playing Warlock and Warrior in the past, I think I can level up to 60. I think I'd make it at least up to 30 or 40. I've never leveled a character up to 60 or 80 for that matter. I've only played up into the 30s and then boosted to 90 in Warlords of Draenor. And then my experience in Wrath of the Lich King is playing up to 30 like a half dozen times on my brother's account, and then creating a Death Knight off of his level 80s. So I don't have a lot of experience from the 30 to 60 leveling, which is what I'm doing in Classic WoW now. I'm trying to learn the factions and their leveling experience, so I get a better idea, because I really do enjoy hardcore. The problems I have with hardcore is that one life, that one mistake, it's extremely punishing. And so when it happens to you, especially investing dozens of hours into a character, it hurts. It hurts when that character dies. That can lead to frustration or depression when that character is gone. In my experience, I've lost like 6 characters. I've lost a lot of characters, and every single one of them died after level 10. And me, I'm kind of slow because, you know, I'm learning the game. So each one of those characters I invested more than 10 hours into, right? I think the one I put the least was 6 or 7 hours, and he died at level 12. And that was painful. That was painful to lose that. The worst one was when I had finally figured out how to play hardcore on my latest Warlock, who died at level 16. I was in Westfall farming Harvest Watchers. I'm talking guys that I could take on 3 or 4 at a time, no problem. I had figured out my abilities at that level. I figured out what I could farm, but I kept getting distracted. And I wasn't paying attention to my health. And the last Harvest Watcher I pulled with like 10% health. Like nobody would pull anything at that health. And so since I wasn't paying attention, when I pulled that Harvest Watcher, he essentially one-shot. The second he got one good hit on me, that was it. I was dead. Because I was so distracted, I thought the game had glitched and he had one-shot me. He did, in fact, one-shot me, but it was because of my inattention that I wasn't keeping my health up. So that leads me into what you should do when you're playing, learning from my mistakes. Now, granted, I haven't made it past level 16, so take this with a grain of salt. There's plenty of other players that make it into their 40s, 50s, and even 60. But what I've learned is situational awareness, right? You have to maintain good situational awareness. You can't just zone out in the game like I did and expect to be fine. You can't get distracted. If you are distracted, it will cause you to miss things that could end up being a critical mistake. So all that hard work that you put in on your character could end that character. Just one simple mistake. Another thing I would add is you have to learn how your class plays. So until my last hardcore character, I didn't really understand the class very well and the things I needed to do. Like, for example, Warlock. Warlocks need tomes to increase the abilities of their demon minions. You need to visit the trainer often because every couple of levels, odds and evens, you'll unlock crucial abilities that will improve your damage output and your ability to heal yourself. And also your traits. You have to understand what traits are good for your playstyle or your end build, because on your first playthroughs, gold is going to be very, very limited for you. And so you need to have a future plan on the way you're going to build a character out so you can maximize your traits as you're leveling. So that comes with an understanding of the class that only comes with experience. Same thing for the way mobs act, right? All the random enemies that are running around the world. You need to understand how far away you can be when they aggro, right? Which is when they become attracted and try to attack you, right? That's the aggro range. You have to understand different mobs' aggro range, to understand how, if you have a minion, how they will aggro and how to control them and prevent them from unintentionally aggroing multiple mobs. Enemies that you're fighting, how they may have special abilities that you need to be prepared for and need to keep an eye out for. So you know if you can pull 2 of these guys, but when you pull one of them by themselves, they do a special thing where they'll spawn like 3, right? So you need to understand like even the special abilities of the mobs too, which comes with experience. And you need to understand like these enemies that you're fighting, what is their damage output? At these levels, can you take them on 1 at a time, 2 at a time, 3 at a time? Should you take them on at all, even at that level? Maybe you should be 2 or 3 levels higher than them. And that, once again, comes with experience. And that comes with an understanding of the zones that you're in as well. So you need to know how much time, at what level you need to be in certain zones for that leveling experience. Now, understand that even if you're good with all of those things, you probably don't even need to follow any of those rules I outlined in order to successfully level in hardcore. You've got people now doing all sorts of crazy challenges, like they're going to level a hunter using only melee weapons, no pets, and they'll only use items that they find in the world. And they'll hit level 60. That's literally hard mode in hardcore. And then you have people with every single advantage in the game. You got like streamers getting thousands of gold, being mob tagged to level, and even them, some of them can't even make it past 45. Mob tagging is when you make like a party, right? So you could have a party of 5 or even a raid party of like 10, 15, whatever, right? So you have a bunch of people in this one party, and the guy that you're trying to speed level, what you do is you kick him out of the party. And so what he does is that one single person, he initiates an attack on a bunch of enemies, and those enemies are killed by the party that he left. And so what that means is that he gets the credit for the experience, but he doesn't have to fight them because they are instead fighting that group. Sometimes there's a little bit of skill involved, and sometimes there's a little bit of luck as well. But all in all, you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan on how you're going to level, what zones you're going to bounce from, what levels and traits and abilities that you're going to learn to maximize your expenses. You need to have a plan for your equipment, how you're going to acquire that equipment, and it needs to be executed well, right? Yeah, so that's basically my experience with hardcore. I definitely enjoy it. I definitely plan to play more of it. I plan to level up higher in hardcore, but I'm going to do it mostly off stream, so that way I can reduce the amount of distractions that I have. And so I'll continue learning the game here, playing just regular classic, learning the levels, learning what I'm dealing with. It is slightly more different than hardcore because hardcore is vanilla, and this is Wrath of the Lich King. So it's a little ways down the road as far as updates and expansions go, but still it relatively translates well. You still have a good understanding of where the mobs are. So thank you for hanging out with us today. If you'd like to support the stream, you can do that by subscribing on YouTube or following on Twitch. Pop the like button if you enjoyed the video and hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live or release another video. Look below to see a list of our socials. See you next time. All right, back to questing. All right, so now we're running around the desert, right?